Buying wrapping paper seems like a bit of a waste when you just unwrap the present and throw the paper out anyway. I'm going to show you how to make a really cool animal-inspired wrapping paper. Today, we'll make a panda. What you'll need is some white paper, some black paper or card, glue, sticky tape, a present, googly eyes, scissors, and pink paper. Okay, so let's get wrapping. Grab your present. If you have a bit of a weirdly shaped present, sometimes it's a good idea to put it in a box like this. It just makes wrapping it much easier. So, the top of the present face down. Grab your paper. I'm just folding the edge over just so I can neatly attach it to the bottom of the box. Stick it down in place. Same with the other side. Time for each edge. So, the best way to do this is if you press the middle down like that, you sort of get these two folded edges like that, and then make a triangle and press it down firmly. And then if you get a little bit of overhang there, just cut that off. I just try to use smaller pieces of tape on the sides because they're going to be part of the panda. And do the same to the other side. Stick that down. Okay, so now we need the black part for the panda. So pandas have like a big black band around their tummies. Make it about 1/3 of the width of the body. They're sort of not perfectly straight. They kind of have a bit of a ripple or a wave. So I'm just going to do kind of a wave shape. It's a bit wonky. Doesn't matter. So you'll come up with something a little bit like that. Yours might be a bit better than mine. Just place it in the middle of the panda's body, like that. Fold it around, and then just tape it in place at the bottom. I'm using a fair bit of tape to secure the black band in place because I used card, but if you use paper, you won't need as much tape as me. And you don't need to use pink tape, you can use clear tape or any colour. Look how messy that is at the bottom. It doesn't matter because when it sits like that, you can't see it. So next, while I've got my black card here, I'm going to do all the other black details on our little panda. So he needs a tail, 4 feet, 2 little sort of eye patches, and pandas have ears, so don't forget those. The ears and the feet are exactly the same shape. They're just little arches, just like that. So you need 2 ears plus 4 feet plus a tail. So you need 7 of these shapes. Don't worry if they're not all exactly the same. Now, if you've got quite a messy fold at the back of your panda, you can cut a larger tail to cover up any mistakes. That's what I'm doing. So that's a lot wider than the feet. Okay, so when we do the black part for the panda's eyes, they're sort of like a bean shape. And now you have 2 little panda eyes. So now all we need to do is stick these on and attach the eyes. But first, I'm going to cut a little pink nose to cover up this little piece of tape here. So grab your pink paper. And it's kind of a triangle shape, but with rounded edges. That looks like a cute little panda nose, so I'm going to stick that about there. I think it's time to glue everything down because I've cut all of my pieces. Grab your glue. You could use sticky tape as well. We'll start with the tail. I'll cover up my messy fold. And next we'll do the ears, which I'm sticking down to the top of the head. They're a bit uneven, but it's sort of cute. And now we'll do the bean eyes. He's coming to life. So you need quite a bit of glue for this part because the eyes go over this fold. So once it's dried, if it's still lifting a bit, just add a bit more glue. And his little pink nose. I can still see a bit of that pink tape there, but I'm not too worried about it. If you've used clear, that's probably even better because you won't see it sticking out from the side. Now I'll stick the eyes on. And now he just needs his little legs attached, so flip it over. Instead of glue, I just use tape for this because it's a lot easier. With the back feet, I just stick them down facing outwards. And our little panda is all wrapped up. All you have to do now is get Arty and you can make any kind of animal you like. Hey, little guy.
I wanted to be an illustrator ever since I can remember. When I was about 5 years old, I remember looking at a fairy tale book and looking at the pictures thinking, this is what I want to do when I grow up. I've always felt a really strong connection with children's books in particular. I think my mum used to say I never wanted to grow up, so I don't know whether that's part of me wanting to stay as a child and being lost in the world of the imagination. When I begin an illustration, I usually have a strong visual image of what I want it to look like in my mind, and so I start off with doing tiny thumbnail sketches of something I've imagined or seen, making some tiny paintings in my visual diary, and then I begin the final piece. The words come later to partner that image. Creating children's books is almost as if I'm creating a world. My style of illustration is often described as whimsical. I try and think about what I would like to say or the story I'd like to tell or be true to my own voice. Then I think about when I was young, I used to love playing with my doll's house and I used to make furniture and create tiny paintings for the walls. My love of painting started from very young. I remember my grandmother did watercolours and my uncles drew a lot with my brother and I. My dad was a goldsmith, so we were surrounded by the arts in Victoria. When I make mistakes along the way, and I still make plenty of them, I try not to throw a big tantrum. Sometimes I've started an illustration again 15 times before I'm happy with it. But usually if something's not working, I'll put it aside, work on something else, and then try it again. The way I see creating a picture book is almost like a movie or a play on a stage. So there should be quiet scenes and noisy scenes, dark and light. What I put on the paper, it depends a bit on the page before. It should be able to move through so that you're taking the reader with you on a journey. My name is Anna Walker. I'm an illustrator and a storyteller.
The full moon is one of the prettiest things you can see in the sky at night. But you've got to be quick because they only hang around in the sky for a few days at a time. So today, I'm going to make a paper moon that you can enjoy rain, hail, or shine. Here's what you need: cardboard, pencil, paintbrush, water, flour, string, masking tape, a handful of plastic bags, newspaper, scissors, paints of various colours. I'm using black and silver paint, and some acrylic mediums. I'm using iridescent medium and also the coarse texture gel. The first step is to draw a circle on your piece of cardboard. Don't worry if it's not too round. You could maybe even use a dinner plate and trace that. Now I'm going to cut it out. Okay, now my circle's done. So I'm going to grab some plastic bags and newspaper to build the shape of my moon. Just scrunch them up, get some masking tape, and tape it down. And layer it around the circle. Don't worry if it looks a little rough, because we're going to paper mache all over it and then paint all over it. Keep layering. A lot of masking tape is going to be used here. We don't want any gaps. And the shape of our moon is coming together. So now the moon's covered in tape. Let's cover it with paper mache. So to make paper mache, add half a cup of water and half a cup of flour together, and then mix it until you have a paste, and that just acts as a glue to bind everything together. Dip strips of newspaper into the paper mache, and then place it onto my moon. Now keep going with the strips. Do 2 more layers, so we have 3 layers in total of paper mache, but we've just got to wait until each layer dries before adding the next layer. Now let's make the iconic moon craters. What you need is just to cut some thick strips of cardboard and then loosely form a circle shape with some tape to bind it all together, and then you have a crater. So I'm going to make 5 craters, but you can make more or less. So once you've got your little cardboard rings, place them onto the moon and then stick it down with some paper mache. It's going to be messy. Now we need to leave our moon to dry. A little later, we'll paint it.
Sometimes I can't decide what I want to draw. Like today, do I want to draw a mouse or a fish? Well, there are no rules in art, so I'm going to draw them both at the same time, together. Let's have a look at that. The first thing I think I'll do is I'll pick out my favorite features from each animal. I'm going to start with the mouse's face. So, to do that, I'm going to draw 2 lines, kind of facing outwards, a little bit like that on my page. I'm going to join them with a kind of an upside-down pyramid shape to make the jaw. And now I think I'll do the top of the head here. It's going to have a few little tufts of hair and over the top. Next, I'm going to draw 2 big eyes, and I'll start them about halfway up the face. There'll be 2 big ovals, like that. Always pop in an eyebrow so that they look nice and happy. And in the eyes, another 2 big oval shapes to make the pupils. And now that I have those in place, I can put in a triangle shape for the nose. If I follow a line down from the bottom of the triangle, I can draw in a happy smile, like that. And a rectangle beneath it to create 2 teeth. Oh, don't forget its whiskers. And now I've got a face that looks a lot like a mouse, but I'm thinking I want to keep the shape of the mouse's ears, but maybe I want to merge them together with some elements of the fish. So I might make the mouse's ears look kind of aquatic. I'm going to keep the shape of the mouse's ears. I'm going to put 2 curves here. It's kind of like half a circle. But instead of turning them into regular mouse ears, I'm going to kind of web them like this, with 3 half circles. And I can even put a few lines in here to give them the feeling that maybe they're flippers or fins or something like that. And we're going to do another one here. So half a circle and 3 more half circles like that. And voila, it is like a fish and a mouse, but it is both at the same time. Now, I think the next thing I'll do is maybe a body. I'm going to keep the mouse's arms, but they're going to be a little bit tricky to draw. So let me show you how to do that in pencil first. So the mouse's arms are really just 3 oval shapes. 1, 2, and then a little hand like that. And I'll show you that I just kind of have to draw over them like this, just underneath. And I come down and collect the hand, and then I trace over the forearm. And that's all the shape is. So let's do that on the drawing. Just around and down and up. And he's got a little hand. And same thing on the other side. 2 little mouse hands for mouse swimming. Now what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to put a tail on the mouse, kind of like when you combine a human and a fish and you get a mermaid. But to separate those 2 things, I'm going to put a little sort of fishy border. And now it's time to do the tail. This one is a little bit tricky too, so let's do it in pencil, just over here. The tail is basically going to be an S shape. So it's going to curve down like this, and then around like that. And then I'm just going to follow that line back up again and up to the body, just like that. And then you get a tail shape. So let's do that in the picture. Going to follow it down and around, big S, and all the way back up again. And voila, you have a fish tail. Now, I think it needs 2 fins on the end too, so I'm just going to add those in. 2 sort of leaf shapes to make some fins, just like the fish's tail. And if you want, pop some lines on the end of the fins so that they look like they might be a little bit see-through, kind of like they do on fish. And the last thing, but not the least, is to put some scales on the mermaid's tail. See how they kind of look like an upside-down mountain range? It's just a half circle repeated over and over again, because every fish has scales, and this fish is no different. Okay, colouring in time. Now, I think because this character looks quite a lot like a mouse, I'm going to colour it the way I would a fish, with fishy colours. I'm going to press lightly with the blue. So my tip for colouring is to make the edges a little bit darker so that it gives it sort of a 3D effect. And there's your mermouse. Happy swimming!
I kind of like this because I like a lot of cartoon drawings and mythical creatures.
This work has the cuteness factor to it, but then again it could be talking about genetic modification.
A mabbit.
And there's your mermouse. Happy swimming!
I think they could have used more in the background. It's quite simple, but I think if they added more detail or colourful backgrounds, it would be a standout artwork.
It's one small step for man and one giant leap for mankind. Earlier, we made our very own moon out of paper mache. Now for the next step. All my layers have dried, so it's time to paint. I'm going to do a base coat of white paint, and this has to be a really nice thick coat covering the whole thing. So once you've got your base coat on, I'm going to add some mediums with my paint. So one is something that'll give the paint a bit of a shimmer, and the other one will give your paint a bit more texture. So once it goes onto the moon, it will look a bit more rough and rocky, because moons have valleys, craters, hills, and a textured surface. I'm I'm just going to add a tiny bit of black paint with the silver, and then I'm going to use it to highlight the craters to give a bit of shape and shadow. Now our full moon has dried, so we're going to make a hanger. Grab a bit of string. Form a knot. Flip your moon over. Then grab some tape. And tape your string onto the back of your moon. And once everything's attached, your full moon is ready to hang.